Welcome back to Curtains Up, a historical perspective on drama. In today's episode, we journey beyond the Mediterranean and explore one of the richest and most enduring theatrical traditions in the world, traditional Chinese opera. From its ancient roots to the dazzling spectacle of Peking Opera, Chinese theater has captivated audiences for centuries with its breathtaking fusion of music, dance, and martial arts. So sit back, relax, and let's step into the grand world of Chinese opera. The history of Chinese opera spans over 2 millennia, originating from ancient rituals and folk traditions. During the Zhou Dynasty, performances were often held to honor the gods and ancestors, blending song, dance, and storytelling. By the Han Dynasty, entertainment flourished in the form of baishi, a variety show featuring acrobatics, music, and drama. But it wasn't until the Tang Dynasty, often regarded as the golden age of Chinese culture, that opera truly took root. In the early 8th century, Emperor Xuanzong established the famous Pear Garden, an academy dedicated to training performers. This marked the formalization of theatrical arts, and even today, Chinese opera actors are called disciples of the Pear Garden. Chinese opera also continued to evolve through the centuries. For example, in the Song and Yuan Dynasties, Jiashu opera arrived, incorporating structured poetry and dramatic storytelling. Then, in the Ming Dynasty, we saw the rise of Kunchu, a refined and lyrical form of opera. And finally, in the Qing Dynasty, Peking Opera, and perhaps the most recognized form, took center stage, combining elements from various regional styles. Peking Opera, also known as Beijing Opera or Jingju, became immensely popular, blending elaborate costumes, martial arts, and stylized performances into a mesmerizing art form. Peking Opera is a dazzling spectacle, and its unique elements set it apart from other theatrical traditions. For example, it had music and singing. The vocal style is highly stylized and often high-pitched, accompanied by traditional Chinese instruments like the jinghu, gongs, cymbals, and others. Then, we also had movement and gesture, and every action in Peking Opera is symbolic. A simple step can represent a long journey, while intricate hand gestures convey emotions like sorrow, joy, or defiance. And last but not least, there were makeup and costumes, where characters would wear elaborate embroidered costumes and dramatic facial makeup. The colors and patterns are highly symbolic, with red representing loyalty, black symbolizing integrity, and white suggests treasury. Now, you did hear this right. Red represents loyalty when you would rather associate it today with danger or warning, and white you'd usually represent with surrender, but instead it uses treachery. I think that this is a really good example of how, back in the day, different approaches to theater were affected by the growth of theater, and how today so many things that are commonplace actually weren't commonplace before then. And it's a really good time to look at and reflect on how these different changes had approached. Peking Opera also featured 4 primary roles. The Sheng, which was the male lead, and it included warriors or scholars. Then there was the Dan, the female roles, ranging from gentle maidens to fierce warriors. Next was the Jing, which was the painted face characters, and they often represented bold or supernatural figures. And finally, you had the Chou, the comedic roles I easily identified by a white patch of makeup on their nose. Now, let's take a moment and discuss our focus drama for this episode, The Peony Pavilion. The Peony Pavilion is a classic Chinese play written by Tang Xianzu in 1598 during the Ming Dynasty. It's one of the most famous works of Kunchu opera, known for its poetic language, romantic themes, and dreamlike narrative. This play is a romantic and fantastical story spanning 55 acts. Yep, you heard that right, 55. Most plays these days barely even get above 4, let alone 55. At its heart, it explores themes of love, destiny, and the tension between societal conventions and individual desires. The story follows Du Linyang, a noble young woman who falls asleep in a garden and dreams of meeting a handsome scholar, Liu Mingmei. She falls deeply in love with him in her dream, but when she awakens, she is heartbroken to realize he's not real. Her love sickness consumes her, and she eventually dies of sorrow. After her death, her spirit lingers, waiting for Liu Mingmei. Meanwhile, Liu Mingmei, who actually exists in reality, coincidentally arrives at the same garden and dreams of Du Linyang. Guided by her ghost, he discovers her buried body and, through his love and devotion, miraculously brings her back to life. Despite facing challenges, including opposition from Du Linyang's family and the authorities, their love triumphs in the end, and they are reunited in marriage. There are a couple of themes here that I'd like to discuss with you viewers first, before getting to anything else. The power of love transcending life and death is a very prevalent theme throughout the entirety of the play. It's one of the main driving forces, and it really is just worth taking a look at. Then you also have dreams as a bridge between reality and fantasy. This is really important in around the first third of the play, but it is still worth taking a look at because a lot of new plays do take inspiration from that theme. And finally, individual desire versus societal norms is a very big theme, which only takes place in the last third of this play, but once again, a lot of modern plays are inspired by this. The play is famous for its poetic language, emotional depth, and emphasis on pursuit of true love over rigid Confucian traditions. This show had a lot of cultural significance. It's often compared to Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet, and is one of China's greatest love stories. It's also a cornerstone of Kunchu opera, one of China's oldest and most refined traditional operatic styles. The play has inspired countless adaptations in film, theater, dance, and modern opera. The Peony Pavilion remains an enduring cultural work, celebrated for its poetic language, emotional depth, and exploration of universal human experiences. And that wraps up our deep dive into traditional Chinese opera. Whether you're mesmerized by its breathtaking acrobatics, enchanted by its haunting melodies, or intrigued by its rich symbolism, Peking Opera offers a truly unforgettable experience. If you ever get a chance, be sure to watch a live performance. Trust me, it's worth it. Thanks for tuning in to Curtains Up, a historical perspective on drama. Join us next time as we continue our journey through the fascinating world of theater. Up next, we'll have the haunting times of the medieval ages, where drama was considered a sin. Until then, curtains down.